Section 5.9, we're going to break this down into a couple of days of work. I want to go over the example problems starting at page 220 and go through those and go through some of your work from the assignment, which is page 222, 1 through 20. Now, starting out with these, what's going to be different is your coefficient in front. So on here, instead of just being x squared, you have 2x squared, 14x squared. So you have a couple of things that you have to factor. So on here, what you're going to actually be doing is factoring two things, both the first coefficient and your constant. So in this case, we're going to do 2 and we're going to do 9. And your challenge on this is finding combinations of factors to arrive at your goal. And your goal is a positive 7. Now versus before where I only had to worry about the 1 and 9 and the 3 and 3 and finding sums and differences, now what I'm interested in is factor pairs. So let me try to show that to where it makes sense. Your factor pairs, if I just look at 1 and 2 and 1 and 9, here's your options. Here's what you're seeing. You could have the 1 multiplied times the 1, and with sums, you could have the 2 multiplied by the 9. Now you could also have a difference. So that would be 1 and 18, giving you either 17 or 19. Then I could turn those around and make that into 1 times 9 plus or minus 1 times 2. So I can mix and match pairs. So I can make that 2 and 1 and 1 and 9, giving me 9 plus or minus 2. So that's going to give me either 11 or 7. Now my goal is 7, so I've actually already hit it. Let's look at what I could do with the other terms. If I do 1 and 2 with 3 and 3, then it's going to be a little more straightforward since my two 3's are the same, I can't turn them around. With 1 and 2 and 3 and 3, I can do 1 times 3 plus or minus 2 times 3, which is going to give me 3 plus or minus 6. So I'm either going to get 3 or 9 as possible terms. Again, not 7. So I know that my two factors are going to be in the yellow. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 1 and 9. And the 1 needs to multiply by the 9, and the other 1 needs to multiply by the 2. So let's see if we can break this down to where it makes better sense. I'm going to go with exactly what's marked with black here. My 1 and the 2 are going to make the 2. So let me get that highlighted. This yellow I'll highlight with this yellow. And my 9, let's make that green. That 9 will come from this 9. So I've got for 2, x and 2x. That's my 1 right here and my 2 right here to create my 2. Now I showed that the 2 is going to need to multiply by a 1. Your inner pairs are going to multiply and your outer pairs are going to multiply. So it's 2 times 1, and the 1, which is the x here, needs to multiply by 9. So here's 1 times 9 right here. So that's 9x. This is 2x. And I'm trying to get to a positive 7x. Meaning my 2x needs to be negative, my 9x needs to be positive, and my middle term is achieved there. And my last sign is negative. So negative 1 times 9 gives me a negative 9. So your answer is x minus 1 times 2x plus 9. Excuse me. Now for example 2, we're going to factor 14 and we're going to factor 5. Now the 5 makes it a little bit easier. because you only have one pair, but then you have to find the correct pair of the two that make 14. 1 and 14 and 2 and 7. So if I'm trying to get to 17 as a goal, what I'm looking for are factor pairs that get me there. So I can do 14 times 1, which would match with 1 times 5. Now then I would have 14 and 5 as my two I'm taking sums and differences of. That would give me a sum of 19 or a difference of 9. And if I turn that around, I'd do 5 times 14, which would make my number way too big. So I know that that's not going to work. So I can just erase that as a possibility. So it looks like 2 and 7 and 1 and 5 are going to be my two factors. Let me highlight those. We just have to figure out in what order it's going to work out. So if we do 7 times 5, it's going to be 35. And then 2 times 1 would give me 2. So that's going to be way higher than 17. So what's going to pair up is 7 times 1 and 2 times 5. So that's going to give me 10 and 7. Now look at your plus with a minus on the left. That means your two signs are going to be negative. So this is all going to come in together now. To make 14, I've chosen 2 and 7. So let's make that 2x and 7x. And remember your pattern here. Inner and outer combine to make your middle term of 17. The 7 needs to multiply by 1. And the 2 needs to multiply by 5. So let's plug that in. That gives you a 7x here. And that gives you a 10x here. And to get a negative, both of these need to be negative. So your answer is 2x minus 1, 7x minus 5. In your next examples, it's just turned around a little bit backwards. For example 3, let's factor 10 and 6. And I would encourage you, don't turn this around, just work with it in place. You're just going to have your constants first, and you have to get used to that. Now, to make 11, I'm going to go ahead and mark what those pairs are. You have 5 times 3, which is 15, minus 2 times 2, which is 4. And the only thing that's different here is how you insert things in, because you have to do your constant first. 10 comes from 2 and 5. I'm just going to put 2 here and 5 here. Now you can turn that around if you'd like. It's just going to match up the same way. Your inner terms, 5, I've already got it marked here, needs to multiply by 3. So it goes here. And your x term is last, so put your x's in. In the 2, that is a factor of 10, corresponds with the 2, that's a factor of 6. So 2 times 2x is going to give me 4x, and 3x times 5 gives me 15x. Now I'm trying to get to a positive 11 as my goal. So the 15 has to be positive and the 4x has to be minus. So go ahead and enter your signs in and you're at your answer. 2 plus 3x, 5 minus 2x. Example 4, same way. Start everyone the exact same fashion. 5 and 22. Now on this one, you're trying to get to 1, actually negative 1. So 5 times 2 and 1 times 11 will give me 11 and 10, which is perfect. So let's go ahead and put your binomials in place. And you've got a trailing b squared here, so put your b's in. And I'm going to not worry about the a's just yet. Let's get the factors in. The factors that get me 5 are going to be 1 and 5. So let's make that a and 5a. If you want to put the 1 in front of the a, that's fine. I'll put it there for illustrative purposes. And your middle terms and your outer terms will be, let's see, the 5 pairs up with the 2. So that needs to be 2 right there, giving you a 10ab. And the 1 needs to pair up with the 11. So that's going to give you 11ab. And you want that middle term to be negative. So this will be your plus, this will be your minus. And you get your answer 1a plus 2b times 5a minus 11b. Let's look at sample problems. Number 1, 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. Now, factors are a lot simpler on these first ones, and it gets harder as you move down a problem set. If you're trying to get to 7, here's your multiples. You're either going to take 1 times 1 and 3 times 2, or you're going to take 1 times 2 and 3 times 1. If you do 1 times 2 and then 3 times 1, you're going to get 2 and 3, which you've got a difference of 1 and a sum of 5, so that doesn't work. So you're going to work with 3 times 2 and 1 times 1, which would give you a 6x and a 1x. So when you factor that out, you have x and 3x. Remember, you're combining inner and outer again. The 3 has to multiply right here by the 2. And the 2 1s multiply together. And in order for this to get to 7, they both have to be a positive. Double check your last term, and it's positive. So your answer is x plus 2, 3x plus 1. In sample problem 13, you've got 3p squared plus 7p minus 1. Ignore that. We're at number 13. Alright, so let's get this started by factoring 1 and 3. And 6 will be 1 and 3, or no, 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. In order to get to 7 on this one, it's a little different fashion. You either have 3 times 1 and 6 times 1, which is 9 or 3, or you have 3 times 6, which is 18, and 1 times 1 will give you 1. So this combination will not work, so you can scratch 1 and 6. Now you've got 3 times 2, which is 6, and your other one would be 1 times 3, which is 3. That's not going to get you to 7. So you have 3 times 3, which is 9, 1 times 2, which is 2. So you have 2p, and you would have 9p. The difference will get you a positive 7p. I need a plus there and a minus there. So to get to 3p squared, that is 3p and p. The 3 has to multiply with the other 3. So that's going to be your outer set. And then your 1, which is right here, needs to multiply with the 2 that makes 6. So let's put the 2 in. Now in this case, your signs are going to be different. You need a positive 9. So your 2 3's make the 9. And minus 2p. Double check your last term. Negative times positive will give you a negative 6. So your answer is 3p minus 2 times p plus 3. So there's a couple of sample problems from that set. You're doing 1 through 20, and then we'll do questions on that tomorrow in class.